All right, well, good afternoon. I was going to say good morning. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi there.
Hi there. For those of you I haven't met, which is mostly all of you, my name is Phil Hollander. Who's Phil Hollander? I'm the vice president of an organization that's been in existence for 88 years, and as I was saying before the meeting, I haven't been around 88 years, in case you're wondering. Well, that would be Better Living Through Vitamins seminar, but in any event, I also co-authored several books, one of which was a bestseller last year called $1 Million Agents, and the original book that I worked on was called Referral and Repeat Marketing Book, which some of you, I think you have read some of it, according to you told me before the meeting. For the last 26 years, Morris Marketing, which is a Canadian company, has been working with agents, not only in Canada, but across North America. And some of our clients you may recognize, we did all Richard Robbins marketing when he was a realtor. If you're familiar with Richard Robbins, he was a realtor in Peterborough, Ontario for 7 years. And we work with some of the top realtors, not only in Canada, but North America wide. And what I have to share with you is very, very important, because if you look at the strategy of realtors that don't just do well sometimes, but do well consistently. And I think the key word is consistently. And you ask yourself a fundamental question: what is their strategy? What are they doing? And it's amazingly simple. There's a great saying, my favorite saying, that all the great truths in life are simple, because if they were complex, everyone would understand. So you'll get it, and you probably understand that, but a lot of people will get it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll drive and go, oh, that's what Phil meant. What I mean is, people overcomplicate everything, but when you distill the truths in things, you'll find out that it's very simple. So one of my outcomes for my talk today is to model for you the strategies of the people that don't do sometimes well, but do consistently well. Now, let me be clear. I was the guy that traveled all through the continent of the U.S. during the mortgage subprime crisis, and I traveled in all different markets of Canada. So people are saying, well, the Toronto market, it's down. If you've only been in real estate a short period of time, you don't know what it's like. I've been doing this for a long time when interest rates are through the roof and the markets are crazy. There are realtors that have done well and do well irrespective of external conditions. And I'm going to model for you what their strategy is, and it's amazingly simple. So from that perspective, I have 3 outcomes for my talk. Why is it, and the first is, when I model the outcomes, when I model the strategy employed by the top realtors, there's one word that epitomizes that. If you look at the realtors that do consistently well, the one word that epitomizes that is simplicity. Well, simplicity, it starts with an S. Does anyone know what the word I'm going to refer to? It's very close, but it's the word systems. Let me explain what I mean. In real estate, like any business, by the way, some of these principles that I'm going to share with you are cross-contextual. They apply not just in the context of real estate, but across all different businesses. I'm just going to apply them as they apply to real estate. So if you think about real estate as a profession, there are high-income producing activities and low-income producing activities in terms of what you do. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, there are really 6 to 12 things you do as a professional realtor that make you the most money. Let me open this up. What would you say are your key activities? That the more you're doing these, the more prosperous you are, the more successful you are. What would you say they are? Sorry?
The consistent prospect.
Well, but that's a big word. You know, it's interesting. Prospecting is very important. But I got to tell you, in my view, people spend way too much money on marketing, doing the wrong things. I'm going to address that in my comments. There are people who, and I hope as a newer realtor, you're listening to this, because any brand new realtors in the room here, licensed lesson here, you are. So I'm going to save you so much money, you have no idea by the time I finish speaking. I'm going to share with you mistakes a lot of realtors make, as well as help realtors who are already doing well, if you've been in business longer, define what you're doing. But in my view, realtors spend way too much money on marketing, not doing the right things. So when you say prospecting, I couldn't agree with you more that prospecting is important. But it's having strategies of conversion. For example, I'll give you a quick example. Do you need a realtor do you need a website as a professional realtor?
Yes, now.
Well, can you survive without a website?
Yes.
I would say what's interesting is, I actually know realtors were talking about this before the meeting that actually don't even have a website and do well. This is interesting. However, I would say you probably need a website. But here's the thing. If you were to do a survey on all the realtors in Canada and ask, do you have a website, what do you think the percentage would be?
Yes, but I don't use it.
Well, here's the thing. 94+% of realtors coast to coast in Canada have a website. If you were asked a supplemental question, and that is, of all the realtors on a website, how much money do they actually make from their website? What do you think, or what conversion, how much clients do they actually get as a totality of their overall business? What do you think the percentage is? Less than 4. Matter of fact, that's high. Less than 2 in many cases. Because you need to convert, if you're doing prospecting, it's incredibly important you have what's called a conversion strategy. There's a lot of nuances to doing this. So it's not the money you spend in marketing, it's your strategies associated with that. Matter of fact, I think you should be spending less money in marketing the longer you're in business. This is an interesting perspective. We can get to that. What is another high income producing activity? I think you alluded to that, which was listing presentations, if I was listening carefully. That's very important. So if you think about, what else? Anyone else? What was another high income producing activity?
Buyer appointments.
Sorry? Buyer appointments, listing appointments?
Follow-ups.
Follow-up?
Keeping in touch with your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have the pre-sale referral. So you have, if your business, I was going to draw a visual diagram of your business. When you meet a lead, we'll call that a B-list person. The prime directive is to convert that person into what? A client, right? It's not that people want leads. So they spend all this money on pay-per-click ads and websites, and they go door knocking, and they do all these activities, which is wonderful, but you need a strategy to convert them into an A-list client. If I have just bought or sold with you, okay, I'm now your client, you've converted me. Am I going to buy and sell right again? Wait again?
Maybe not.
Well, unless something, people get divorced, they get all kinds. I deal with military communities, and people get relocated very often, unanticipated due to unforeseen circumstances. But the bottom line is, I'm not going to buy and sell right away again. So you need a referral strategy to leverage a relationship for referrals, and then down the road for repeat business. So here's the thing. There are 6 to 12 activities that make you the most money. There are prospecting with one of them, but there's listing presentations and CMAs and negotiating deals and working with clients. Do you get paid money by doing grunt work or administrative tasks? Do you make money doing more of that?
No.
So if you look at the strategy of realtors that do well consistently, if I were to draw it visually, it kind of looks like this. What they do is they have a database. I'll address this in a moment. And by the way, for definitional purposes, a database is something that ought to be used for your profession. I ask people if they have a database, which I'll ask you in a moment. Some people have transaction records in a garage, and I have an honorary degree in hieroglyphics because they send them to me, the handwritten notes. Other people have 5 databases, but the bottom line is they have one real estate specific software program. And what they do is they grow their database from a core nucleus of people, 20 to 40 people, to 60, to 80, to what is called critical mass, which is about 100 rock solid people in a database. And every year, another percentage of those people will buy and sell again, and they'll get referrals on top of that. As time progresses, if they do this well, what realtors ultimately create for themselves is what I refer to as an annuity-based business based on warm selling. In other words, more of their business comes back to them like an annuity from referral business and repeat business. But it's not automatic. I'm going to share with you how they get to this point. And in a database, they don't just have anybody in a database. They have what's called an A-list person, which for most realtors are past clients. However, for new realtors, let me address that. Who are the new realtors licensed less than 1 year here? Okay, there's a good proportion of you. Let's tap into your, so you've been in real estate how long? A few years. And you've been in real estate 6 years if I was listening, and another gentleman?
Less than a year.
Less than a year. You've been in real estate how long?
Over 5 years.
Okay, so let me ask you this. With the people who've been in business 5 years or more, of all the money you've spent in real estate, where is the #1 source of business for you over the years? Irrespective of all the money you've spent in marketing and things like that. Where's your business from?
It's referrals.
Why is that? Why is it?
Always.
It's an interesting question. Why?
He doesn't know you as a trust.
Well, here's the thing. Would you agree that people work with who they know, like, and trust? That's very important. But it's not automatic. There's other conditions that must be met. I'm going to address what that is. It's not automatic. Have you ever gone on MLS and someone you did really good work for has listed with someone else? You had that experience? You want to wonder why? Well, I'm going to share with you how to reduce the percentage of that by virtue of your strategy. But here's the thing. When I say A-list person in a database, for the more experienced realtors, it's going to be predominantly past clients. For everyone else, it's going to be what is called your generalized sphere of influence. By the way, for those who are more experienced, let's help out the new realtors. In their first year business, their business is going to come from two sources. What are the two sources? One is their family. Now, what's the inherent challenge with family and friends? Hi, Wilson. What's your inherent challenge?
They don't think you have the experience.
Well, thank you. Here's the thing. Here's what a lot of new realtors, please avoid doing this if you haven't already done this. They send a letter to, they put it together their sphere of influence, they send a letter and say, hi, I've just recently licensed. If you ever need someone to sell your $1 million property, I'm here to help. Here's the problem with that. What are you advertising to your people in your sphere of influence? I have no experience. You could be my guinea pig, right? No, seriously, no, I'm serious. I'm not kidding with. People. So with your sphere, and some people have to do that. Family work with a family. That's a whole other thing. But generally speaking, for new realtors, your business will come from your sphere of influence, but not automatically. There are two conditions that must be met. People whom they know and like based on your knowledge and expertise. Would you agree with that? So here's the thing. For newer realtors, with respect to your sphere of influence, it's incredibly important that you establish credibility. It's not that you're not credible, it's a perception versus a reality. Would you agree with that? Okay, so you need to do that by virtue of your strategy. I'm going to share with you how to do that, because that will deal with the elephant in the room. For new realtors, the elephant in the room is, why should I use you? Should I be using the gentleman that's more experienced than yourself? Does that make sense? What's the other source of business for new realtors? This applies to people longer than that are not so new as well. What's the other source of business in your first year? But after that, it would be what?
Door knocking, cold calling.
You got it. Face to face. Would you agree with that? Face to face. Some people would rather die than door knock, by the way. That would be me. I'm just one of those people. I've met some what are called crazed door knockers out there. There's one guy in Vancouver, unless he knocks on 300 doors every day, he suffers withdrawal symptoms. That's not me. Okay? But here's the thing. So face to face, open houses, door knocking, CMAs, working with clients. But you need a conversion strategy. It's not just enough to go door knocking. You need a follow-up. You mentioned earlier, you need a follow-up strategy. Yes, sir.
Just sorry to interrupt, but just
please.
I do door knocking, not a ton. One of my friend who couldn't come today loves door knocking. Yes. But he's hitting a wall because of the conversion.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to address.
I'm meeting all kinds of people, writing names down. They're thinking about it, but nothing.
It's follow-up. So here's the thing. If you're willing to go out there and knock on doors, that's a very admirable thing, I would say, because a lot of people don't want to do that. But doesn't it make sense to have a strategy to keep in touch with those people, to convert them from a B list to an A list? It's not automatic. There are people that will do this all the time and spend all this energy, but they don't have conversions. That's very important. So what realtors do, for new realtors, it's going to be sphere of influence face-to-face. For everyone else who's been in business longer than 4 or 5 years, an A-list person, when I refer to an A-list person in a database, it's going to be predominantly past clients. Because what will happen to the new realtors is over time, as you convert more and more people into your A-list contacts, your database will be comprised mostly, if not exclusively, of all A-list contacts. Does that make sense? But I wanted to make that distinction at the outset. Now, here's the question. I have 3 outcomes for my talk. Why is it really, really important at some level you have systems if you want to grow and prosper in real estate? I'm going to address that. It's one of my outcomes. The other thing is, what does it mean to actually have a system? People have gone through Brian Buffini and Joe Stump and Richard Robbins, and all of these guys talk about systems, but what does it actually mean on a day-to-day practical level? I'm going to go through what that means. I'm going to define it for you. There are 4 levels of implementing systems in your business. I'm going to go through those, and I'm going to culminate This whole seminar was sharing with you what realtors who do consistently well, and it's amazingly simple. There are strategies that work and certain things that don't work. And in the time we have together, I'm going to make this as practical and useful as possible. Does that sound like a good agenda? Does anyone feel it doesn't sound like a good agenda? Someone doesn't win the buyer. But in any event, so why? Let me address the why at the outset.
Efficiency.
Well, here's the thing. Let me crystallize this in dollars and cents terms. What you're absolutely right in efficiency, absolutely right. But what is the value of one A-list person worth to your bottom line business, say over 10 years? What do you think it is? 10 years, and we have someone, a gentleman who says 100 grand. That's actually excellent. Anyone else? What do you think? One qualified A-list person in referral business, in repeat business. More than that. Okay. How much do you think? 500. Wow. Okay. So we have a wide range. You're selling.
If they send you referrals, you never know.
Well, you know, you're right.
One person, it might end up.
See, you don't need a lot of people. So let me address that. I think you're but so let me ask you this. In Canada, in Toronto, in North America, generally speaking, people move every 4 to 7 years. Some people a lot quicker if they're growing families, if they're downsizing, investors, all these things. Some people don't move at all. They don't move it, but generally speaking, the national average is what people will move once in a 4-year period of time. If you're shaking your head.
It's like I've been in the same house for 28 years.
Okay, but
I know I believe you, but I don't know why they do that.
Right. Well, see, but well, there's a lot of reasons why people do. But nowadays, national average is about once in a 10-year period of time. That's it. The statistics are, and a lot of times it has to do with the nature of the economy and when you bought your house. And there's demographic, thank you, considerations. Thank you. If I say any words that you'll correct it, you're a former English major. That's okay. Because I have enough coffee, even though I had 5 coffees.
Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, that's right. It's true. Better know your caffeine. Thank you. I just get so passionate sometimes. But there are demographic considerations that affect. But the national average is once in a 10-year period of time. So here's the thing: if people move once in a 10-year period of time, that equals 2 ends in terms of repeat business. If you do this right, you'll sell their existing home, buy them into a new home. According to the National Association of Realtors, this is a long-standing statistic. Everybody that you know in a given year, on average, knows 3 to 5 people buying and selling each and every year. Some people know more, some people know less, but on average, it's 3 to 5. So every qualified, I'll show you how to call in a second, A-list person knows 30 to 50 people are going to buy and sell over a 10-year period of time. Very conservatively, you'll actually get more than this if you do the right strategy. That's 5 ends from referral business, 2 ends from repeat business, that's 7 ends. From every qualified A-list person over a 10-year period of time. Let me ask you, and if you're really nice to me, you'll give me a round number. What's the average commission per end?
Average commission.
Roughly.
It depends if it's in Toronto or is it in Ottawa.
Let's be really conservative. You can adjust this figure either way. But would 10 grand really be a good, would that be I'd rather, you know what, I don't like people who exaggerate things. I'd rather underestimate this to prove my point. Toronto, 10 grand per end, 10,000 per end.
It's 70 to 100 grand for total.
Right, so let's say it's $10,000, okay, per end. What's 7 times $10,000? I promise we're almost through the math question. $70,000. Last math question, I promise. What's $70,000 times 100, which is called critical mass in a database? $7 million in your commissions. So a database of 100 people, it's not a lot of people. What was it? Sorry.
No, just laughing at the exponential.
Right. So here's the thing. A database of 100 qualified people is worth to you multiple $1 million business directly from your relationships. This is a people business more than anything else. but it's not automatic. It is absolutely not automatic. Just because someone knows you, or you went, like I was joking about not knowing the five-year-old decided my realtor when they grow up. Everyone comes to real estate typically as a second or third profession. But here's the thing. It's not enough for them to know you. There are two conditions why someone would use you and refer you. And by the way, when you answer the why someone would choose you over the other 40,000 realtors in the greater Toronto area, this permeates everything you do, your CMAs, your listing presentations, your negotiating deals, everything. Why would I choose you versus your competition? What are the reasons someone chooses a realtor? Trust. Would you agree? Well, let me address that. Would you agree that people work with whom they know, like, and trust? Is that fair to say?
Not necessarily.
Well, they don't. They want to work with someone they distrust.
No, they might trust you, but they don't want to work with you because.
Okay. Well, so it's not everything. So here's the thing. So, well, here's the thing. Would you like
full-time professionalism?
I agree with you. So you're hitting. So here's the thing. That's only one part of the equation is trust. So if you look at real estate, you're dealing with the Human Life and Stress Index, which is a psychological indices that represents how people respond to life and stress. Buying and selling a house ranks up there with getting married, getting divorced, having children. You go, well, why? You guys, the reason for it, look at the dynamic at work. You have family issues, legal issues, financial issues, and you know what the big one for most people is change. People seek change and resist it. They want to change, but when they find it very stressful. Would you agree with that? Mm-hmm. So they want to work with someone that's going to help them facilitate, make them comfortable. They trust to facilitate the process. However, there's one other condition that must be met. People who they don't like a trust based on your
knowledge.
Thank you, your expertise. Let me be a little bit facetious for a moment, just to augment the point here. Imagine I was your financial planner. We'll shift professions for a moment. And you like me, and you trust me, and I'm managing your life savings. And every year I deliver you pies. And they're big pies. And I deliver you pumpkins for your children at Halloween. And I give you a bottle of wine during the holidays. But you just knew I was going to screw up your life savings. How long would I be your financial planner? Not very long. So as a real estate agent, you're dealing with people's biggest investment. So they want to know, and the houses are up to $1 million or more now. So people want to know, they trust, but they want to know that you're going to, what do they really want? They want to know that you're going to negotiate the best deal on the house they're purchasing, and you're going to sell their house at the optimal price. Would you agree with that? So here's the point. It is not automatic that you will get 7 ends over a 10-year period of time from every qualified person. You need to create it by virtue of your strategy. And by the way, let me be clear. If you stay alive and keep your real estate license and do absolutely nothing, just stay alive and breathe and keep your real estate license, you're going to get referral business and repeat business no matter what you do. I'm just going to, but not near, you get more what you focus on consistently. Does that make sense? You need to create it. It's something that you need to create by virtue of your strategy. Make sense? Now, does this make sense? Well, when you contrast, by the way, the cost per client acquisition of every other marketing strategy out there, hands down, having a referral and repeat strategy will yield you more business than any other single strategy. It's not automatic. Let me give you a little bit of a contrast frame. I got a call once, just want to share with you because it was from a realtor in Western Canada. He called me and he spent an hour on the phone telling me how wonderful he is, how he's the best realtor that ever walked the face of the earth, and all of this. He was a great. I was thinking, why did he call? Turns out he spends $30,000 on lead generation a month. A month, not just a year, a month. He has bus benches. He has showers, neighborhoods with postcards. He had billboards. I was driving in where he lives, which is in a major Western Canadian city. I thought it was Fidel Castro because he had literally, no, seriously, he was on the way to the airport. After an hour of spending, telling me how wonderful he is, the greatest realtor, I'm thinking to myself in the back of my head, why did he call me? What is he, he sounds like he's doing wonderful. And he says, Phil, can I tell you my biggest fear? This is interesting. I don't know this gentleman. He's telling me how wonderful he is. Now he's telling me his biggest fear. You know what his biggest fear was? This is his words. He said this. He said, my business is like this giant tap. The tap represents all the money he spends on marketing. He says, in in any neighborhood and strangers, he gets all the business he gets business because he's out there everywhere. He says, here's the problem. If he turns off the money he's spending on marketing, which is $30,000 a month, his whole business model dries up because he didn't get this. He didn't get the referral business and the residual business. In other words, his business was all front end loaded. In other words, it was all about paying money for leads. He had a very good strategy for conversion. I'll give him credit for that. But he was caught in the paradigm that he had to keep spending all this money, and he never created what I'm going to share with you how to do today, which is create this business where more and more business comes to you and you spend less money over time. There's a great metaphor that describes this, and it's kind of like an airplane. When an airplane takes off, it uses a lot of fuel, but once it gets in flight, it actually becomes very fuel efficient because it becomes all the fuels. So in your business, you don't have to spend more money over time if you're doing the right things. Does that make sense? Okay, so what is it? Well, let me define what I mean by systems-based referral marketing so that we're all clear. It's the process of keeping in touch with your A-list contacts, which for new agents are predominantly sphere of influence. For the rest of us, it's going to be mostly past clients to ensure that they in the short term refer you and down the road repeat sale with you. At the heart of this is your database. Does everyone here, I love asking this question, does everyone here have a database of A-list contacts? Okay, excellent. Does anyone not have a database put together? Honestly. Okay, excellent. Okay, I hope that there's nothing else. I convince you there's a correlation between that one activity. And for definitional purposes, a database ought to be something designed for your profession. Now, there are people, for example, when it comes to a database, there are some people, as they indicated, don't have a database. They have transaction records in a garage. Seen that before. I'm an honorary degree in hieroglyphics because people send me them, they handwrite their database and send it at no charge. You can organize. That's customer service. Then there are realtors with 4 or 5 databases. One on their cell phone, one through the real estate board, one Outlook on their computer. They have one fancy program that they don't even use that they paid for. It's like a lot of people. And then there are people who spend all this money for a database, and they use it as a glorified label maker. It's like joining a gym, feeling good about joining the gym. That wouldn't be you, by the way. But anyway, joining a gym and never actually showing up there. But here's the thing. Database ought to be something for your profession, a real estate specific software program. Now I ask wherever I go, do you have a database? And I get some interesting responses. I was in, I think, Edmonton or Calgary. There's about 100 people in the audience. I said, do you have a database? And one woman way in the back said, yes, I have a database. I said, that's great. I said, how many people are in your database? And she said, she thought for what? She said, about 978 people. And I said, wow, I have clients who've been in business 40 years, 50 years. They don't have that many. And I said, how long have you been in real estate? She said, oh, about 6 months. It turned out that her kids played hockey and soccer, and she was 1,000 Facebook friends, and she was really good. So here's the thing. When it comes to a database, it's better you have 20 people, 30 people, 20 people, 30 people, and grow them to that critical mass point than 1,000 people who barely know who you are. Hope is not a strategy. I really want to address that. You want to qualify. You don't want to waste time, energy, and money on people who are never going to do business with you. I got to tell you, I have this. People get so mad, especially new agents. They go address it at their friends, at their family members, and when they find out they moved through with someone else, you want to qualify. So let me give you 2 ways to qualify who's an authentic A-list person in a database. Let me give you 2 ways. You might want to write this down. Here's the ultimate qualification question. I've been talking about this for years. This is called the gut check question, or the ultimate qualification question. So here it is. You've got your database put together. When you've got your database put together, ask yourself the following question. Does this person that's in your database have the ability, and the operative word is desire, do they have the ability and desire to either A, refer you business, and or B, repeat sale with you? Or repeat it again, too much copy.
Ability to desire to
A, refer your business, and or B, repeat sale with you. Does this person have the ability, and the operative word is desire? Because someone could have the ability, but they may not want to, right? And it's a really important question. I mean, their brother-in-law could be a realist, and the wife or husband will kill them.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Because most of the people, they have, especially in my community, in Persian community.
Oh, everyone's a realtor.
Everybody is a realtor. So even if I have like more than 800 people in my
it's better to have 20 that are committed to using you.
There is not even one.
So
you know what I mean?
you and I will
Everybody
speak.
has
You're
I don't know, their daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, cousin. Everybody has one.
because
So
here's the
my
thing. So people come to Canada and they get their real estate license because, right?
That's
But
right.
not everyone survives, by the way. There's another thing beyond a certain, as soon as they. But here's the thing. I'm going to address that. We'll talk after in terms of how to do that. You're going to have to adjust your strategy somewhat. But you got to say, do they have the ability and desire? So if my brother-in-law is a realtor, or my sister, you've got to be realistic about that. They may not like their brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and may like you better. So it may be a referral source. But you may have to adjust your strategy to accommodate that. And that's just a real.
I had experience like this.
Okay,
I have a client, and her uncle is a realtor,
right.
and he's living in Canada for like 40 years. But she came to me because she said, I don't want, they know what am I doing.
Well, here's the thing. That's it.
Because they
Thank
don't
you.
want their-
Your name
yeah.
again, I'm sorry.
Mo.
Mo, it's an excellent point. See, a lot of people do not want their family to know their finances.
And I
Yeah.
bought for her a
I'm
pre-construction.
telling you, a lot of people don't want people to know, how good they're doing, how, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of that may be a little bit of a limiting belief because a lot of would rather work with you than a family member. And that's just plain truth. Because here's the other thought for you. You can't fire so easily a family member. Because they're going to, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people do not have a work with family rule, because of that reason.
So that's why I think the best would be cool.
Yeah, yes, but you need a conversion, so that's fine. But we'll talk. You may have to be more skewed in that area, but because of what you're talking about. But don't limit. There are people, like Mo has indicated, that would work. So here's the thing. Does this person have the ability and desire to either A, refer you business, and or B, repeat sales to you? The other way of doing this is known as the 10-second rule. It goes like this. If you're looking at a person in your database and 10 seconds goes by and you're going, who is this person and how did they get there? If you don't remember them, then what? In all likelihood, they don't remember you, right? So the reality is you want to requalify. You don't get rid of these people. They're just the B-list people which are not converted yet. What you end up with is a small nucleus of people. And that could be people you qualify for open houses or people, but the bottom line is your A-list, you want to grow them to that critical mass point. Now let's look at how realtors take care of the economic engine that will drive their business. If the goal is to convert leads into clients and then to grow them to that critical mass point, how do you take care of the most valuable resource? Because once someone decides to work with you, they have a high probability of referring repeat selling with you, but it's not automatic. Let's look at the 4 levels where how people take care of their A-list contacts in their database. I'm going to share with you some of the latest marketing research, which will impact your strategy. Because in my view, a lot of people spend way too much time, energy, and money on digital marketing strategies. It's a vortex. Social media is a vortex. Websites are a vortex. You could spend a lot of money with very little results if you don't know what you're doing. Especially, believe me, I see this every single day. But let's go to the 4 levels. Let's start with level 1. Level 1 is what's called the transactional realtor. I see this everywhere I go. And now transactional realtors, if I were to describe a transactional realtor, and I apologize, I should have gone to medical school, my writing is not okay. But anyway, it says transactional realtor. Transactional realtor. That actually does say transactional realtor. But here's the thing. If a transactional realtor is like this, when a transactional realtor is going through a deal with their clients, they have this big relationship. They get to know the family and the children and the dog and everybody. And then once the deal is done, they go on to it's like this big romantic relationship. And once their deal is done, That's it. They go on to the next deal and the next deal. And if you were to look at their business, it kind of looks like the heartbeat of real estate. Here's the heartbeat of real estate. They have a busy month and then a not so busy month. A busy year and a good year and a not so good year. Because they basically perpetuate what's called the feast to famine cycle, where here's what happens. They get a couple of listings on the go. Life is good. Bills are getting paid. They can put their, pay their mortgage, all this stuff, the car payments, and then they go from a period of intense activity, and they make this linear projection that, oh my gosh, the world's a wonderful place, everything's good, I'm set for, and then they go, and then they have no business. They wake up one morning and go, I was so busy, I was working 7 days a week and nights and weekends, and here's the thing, and they do their marketing out of fear. And they go, oh my God, so I got to do something. And they build their business up to here, and they go from the feast to famine cycle. And if you look at how they take care of, how they take care of their A-list people, all transactional realtors do is they send out to communicate. At best, they send out the holiday card, the Christmas card, the holiday card, the fridge magnet, basket is fine, bottle of wine and Christmas, all the things. But here's the challenge. Here's why these things are not as effective anymore. There's two reasons why people choose you. One, people work with who they know and like based on your knowledge and expertise. Is there anything based on your knowledge and expertise in a fridge magnet? In a calendar? How many of you times have you, and I gotta ask this, I love asking this question. How many times have you been doing a deal and you looked up on the wall, you're at the table and you're doing the deal, and staring down at you was another realtor's calendar staring down. Right? And their eyes were moving in the picture. They're going, oh my gosh. So that realtor spent $3.77 on the calendar. If all you needed was a calendar, and there's nothing, and by the way, fridge magnets, I just want to save you a ton of money. Fridges are no longer magnetic anymore.
Exactly.
The sides are, if I need a realtor, someone sent me a fridge magnet, it wasn't a realtor, but I went to put it on the fridge and it slid all the way down. And then I realized, and then I tried the side for some reason, and the sides are magnetic, but if I need a professional, I'm not going to pull out my 1,000-pound fridge. So here's the thing. Have you noticed people think they know about as much about real estate as you do? We have an intrinsic problem. Everyone's a budding realtor now because of the proliferation of information by the internet. So everyone knows, and so let me ask you this. People get privy information on the internet, radio, TV, newspaper. So you cannot expect to reinforce your expertise if all you're setting is a fridge magnet. You've got to do more than that. Matter of fact, do people still buy and sell in a down market? Yes. Okay. People get divorced, they get upsized, they downsize. The people still, maybe not at the volumes, but here's the thing. In a down market, the realtors that have the most trouble, are transactional realtors. Why? Because they haven't reinforced their expertise. People want to work with someone with the perception of expertise. So you need to do more. Matter of fact, oftentimes in a down market, transactional realtors are forced to leave the business because the business will go to someone who has a greater level of expertise. Let's go to level 2. What the realtor will do is they'll call the people in their database. Thank you so much. They'll call the people in their database. Does everyone call people in their database? You call? Yeah. Excellent. Does anyone else call? You call? Mo calls? Does anyone else? You call? Okay, you sort of. Okay, there are 3 reasons why people don't call. This is what.
Calling is bad.
Okay, here's the thing. There's 3 reasons why people don't call. I've just noticed a lot of times people are talking about your A-list, right? So a lot of times people don't call because they want to be well enough alone. No news is good news. All's quiet on the home front, right? Another reason is people don't know what to say. And this applies, the 3rd reason applies to realtors who've been in business longer than 5 years. If you've been in business longer than 5 years, you may suffer from a little-known realtor psychological phenomena called realtor guilt. I just made this up, by the way. You guys are far too serious. What's realtor guilt? If you wait long enough to call somebody after the transaction, there is this demarcation point in time where you go, oh God, that lovely couple, I sold that house 5 years ago. I should call them. That's your first thought. The second thought is, I can't call them now. It's been 5 years. by the way, the worst case of realtor guilt was a realtor in St. John's, Newfoundland. 14 years in business, not a fridge magnet, not a Christmas card, not a nothing. The first month I worked with her, she got 3 listings. Now, she was thrilled with the 3 listings. A lot of that's timing, but she was more thrilled with the fact that people were actually happy to hear from her. Now, let me ask you this. When is the best time to call somebody? Any 3 in the morning? They think they can call you at 3 in the morning.
Some specific occasion like New Year.
New Year's, I would agree with this. It's a good time to call people New Year's, birthdays, anniversaries.
New Year's.
I have a little bit of different take on this. What's that?
Like cold calling, everyone says, when's a good time for cold calling? Well, when you're near a phone. Really, that's.
Well, no, but I'm talking about your A-list contact. So here's the thing. The best time to call somebody is when you do not need the business. It's psychological. So here's what happens. People here go to the fee or some other training and they'll say, you got to call people in your database. So what do? It's like going shopping when you're hungry. They go, oh my God, I got no business. And they call up everyone. They hear the desperation in your voice. I call that wanting attacks. Because if they sense you need something from them, they're going to run to the hills. Right? There's no hills around here, but you know what I mean. The bottom line is that, so you call, so here's the strategy used by realtors who do this well. It's called time blocking. What realtors will do is they schedule in every single day between, I'll say 11 and 11:50, whatever time works for you. And by the way, leave a message. A lot of people don't call because they don't want to be embroiled in a long conversation. They go, I don't have time. Who has time these days, right? So they leave a message, better than not calling off. So they call between 11:15, and if you do the math on 1 or 2 people a day, over the course, there's 20, I know you work weekends and nights, but there's 20 business days a month. That's 20 to 40 people over the month, and that's your quarters, your entire sphere of influence. Now, the dividends of doing calls are great because now you have human contact. You have human contact. You're not just sending, there's nothing, we're sitting on a calendar or notepad, there's no human contact. And by the way, I'm going to share with you what to say in one of those calls that will make you money. Just stay with me on this. I'm building to a crescendo. But the bottom line is, if you habituate the process of calling 1 or 2 people a day, it gets done rather than try. I've seen people, they go, well, it's going to call. So they try and save up 200 people and try and call them all in the same day. It doesn't happen. You do 3 calls, you get sidetracked. Is the other way work? But is calls enough? No. Let's go to level 3. Level 3 is what I would call, I'll try and make this clear as opposed to that, but diversification. What do I mean by diversification? There are 2 marketing, diversification means that you separate in your strategy your B list from your A list. Both groups have different information and knowledge requirements. As I indicated earlier, your B list people, the prime directive, when you meet a lead, is to convert them into a client. Does that make sense? They don't know you very well. You have to establish credibility with them and bring them a client. Well, once I become a client, it's then a question of leveraging our relationship in the short term for referrals and then down the road for repeat business. So there are 2 marketing mistakes that realtors make with respect to marketing. One is they lump their A list and B list in a database as one integrated category and they treat them all the same. So, and the second mistake is they what I call a unidimensional marketing strategy. For example, they have an email-only strategy. This is a huge mistake. Let me address how we work. Imagine if you were in my database and you're an A-list person, and I send you, and we just went through the whole process of buying and selling 30 days ago, and I send you an email that says the following. Now, I just went through this whole process, got to know you and your family and the whole bit, and I send you an email 30 days after the sale that says, now's the time to list your property, right? And you go, really? My house has gone up by $9.23 or whatever. Probably more than that in the Toronto market, but you know what I'm saying. You might be insulted because I'm asking you to go through. I'm not treating you like a stranger. So it's very important that you separate your A's and B's because you can really insult them if you don't separate. The other marketing mistake realtors make is they have an email-only strategy. Here's the problem with email. How many emails does the average Canadian get on a day-to-day basis? Think about think about how many emails you get on a day-to-day basis.
None.
It's interesting. 100?
No, around 10.
Is it 10? Okay. We'll raise.
More than 30.
Well, here's what's happening in the email world. Every website you get added to the automated drip list. So you get emails from people, products, services, right?
Right.
Right? So here's the thing. What device do you open up emails on? Look at them all over the room. What device? Cell phone. And so the screen size is too small, so if someone's sending you graphically designed information. So what are you doing with all those emails? Are you reading them all?
No,
No, what do you do with them?
just the important
You're
one.
going delete, 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 but you're being discriminating. You're going like this. You're going delete, delete. Oh, I got to call that guy back by 3 or that person back by 3 because that's it. So you're being discriminating. But most people with emails, they don't read them. They don't respond to them. They delete them. But what did you not do? You didn't unsubscribe. Why? Because who has time in your busy day to unsubscribe? So have you heard of the marketing term called spam? Have you heard of the marketing term called bacon? So I'm watching Bacon. I was watching CNN, not CNN, one of these shows. I can't remember, a business show. Maybe it's BNN, I think it was. But anyways, business news, and they had these email marketing gurus there, and they were talking about email marketing, and they said, "Here's what's happening in the email world. Here's what Bacon is. Bacon is all the emails you and I get from people, product, services we know. But what do? We go like this: delete, delete, delete. We did not subscribe. Because we don't subscribe, we're still on the email list. So the mushrooming effect of that is called bacon. Now listen to this. It's gotten so bad in the email world that Google Corporation, who invented Gmail, the preeminent way of communicating by email, now uses direct mail for their clients. Let me repeat that. Google Corporation, who invented Gmail, now uses direct mail for their clients. So
when you said
What
direct
do you
mail,
mean by that?
postal mail, snail mail. Actually, and by the way, so here's the thing. What are you guys in the business of buying and selling? I love asking this question. I love it. And please, no one say dreams. Another person say. If I go to another seminar and someone say dreams, I know you sell. But what, on a practical level, what are you guys in the business of buying and selling? Thank you. Homes and condos. Would you agree with that? So where are you physically when you open up a piece of email? Where's somebody physically? No, email.
Oh,
They could be in a car. They could be in a coffee room. You could be in an intersection. You hear that, hey, didn't text or anything. You know, we all done it. But anyways, the bottom line, you didn't respond. But you could be anywhere, right? On a cell phone, on a mobile phone. Where is someone physically when they open up a piece of direct mail? Thank you. So there's a concept that's really important called associative marketing. You want to send people information related to your expertise in the place where they're going to use your services, their home or condo, but not any information. If you're sending people cooking recipes and you want to sell their $1 million, people argue with me all the time, their $1 million home, it's got to be real estate specific. So what works for your diversification, it's important to separate your A's and B's. Direct mail, not just any, I'll show you a sample of what I mean in a moment. Direct mail related to your expertise to either your sphere of influence or your people. It also works with leads as well, by the way. If you're door knocking, people say, all I have is emails. Well, if you're door knocking, get their address. Follow up with direct mail. It'll work much more effectively than an email.
tangible.
It's tangible, it's multi-sensory, but not just any direct mail. The other thing that works with your A-list clients is in-person contact. Now, Brian Buffini talks about what are called, not drive-bys, that's something completely different, pop-bys, where you pop by. But I think that is, I don't know if I want my financial planner realtor dropping in at 3 in the afternoon unannounced, especially my financial. So a lot of people do sort of client events, buying seminars. The other thing that works for your A-list is phone calls, and I'll get to that in a moment. For your B-list, the two things that typically work best, because you don't know them well, you want to do, if you get someone's direct mail address, that's great. But the two things that work best are email conversion, because they'll give you direct mail, but it needs to be CASL compliant. Why? Because we now have the Canadian anti-spam legislation. The other thing that works very well for your B-list, this is people that don't know you, is social media. So what's the average age of realtors in Canada? Does anyone know?
Sorry?
What's the average age of realtors in Canada?
In all Canada,
In Canada, in all of Canada, what's the average age? You're gonna laugh when you hear this. 60, 38?
45.
Well, how much?
55.
It's 58. 58 years old. You were pretty close, right? So 50, you were bang on. I think you were very
I said 60.
60, you were very close, 60. So the average age of realtors is 58 years old. Why is that? It's because people come, I haven't met the 5-year-old that want to be a realtor, they come to it as a second or third profession, typically, and so they typically tend to be older. Now, when it comes to social media, most realtors have websites, fewer blogs, Facebook page, and Twitter, but there are exceptions to all that. They did a study, and they being Yahoo Corporation, on how people use social media in the process of buying and selling real estate. And what they determined was social media is important, but a secondary part. Let me explain what I mean. If someone in 2018 needs a good realtor, they don't have one, they will still go to someone they know, like, and trust and get a referral. So say I go to my good friend and I get a referral because I don't have a realtor, and they recommend one of you. Do I call you right away? I got your name and number. What do? I check you out online. I Google you and do my due diligence. When you meet someone at an open house, you know, this wonderful conversation, and they take your collateral information, what are they going to do with after that? They're going to check you out post your meeting. Same with door knocking. So here's my point. In social media, you got to make sure that, recognize that people are checking you out. So the big issue for social media, whatever social media you're using, whether it's your website, blog, Facebook page, all of these things, Twitter, make sure you're associated with real estate specific information, but it's not, that give you credibility. Does that make sense? By the way, if your website is what I call ego-based and you're leaning against a tree and the sun is setting, and it says, I'm the best realtor that ever walked the face of the earth or ever lived, that ever will live, then people are so sick of that. People want to know what you're going to do for them in terms of your knowledge and expertise. So I'm a big fan of and a proponent of client-centered marketing. So there's nothing wrong with branding and all that stuff, but you want to make sure that when people Google your name, you're associated with well-written. So the big issue is content. So in level, without, I can do a whole seminar on social media, suffice it to say is, in diversification, you want to, don't treat everyone the same. You want to have different communication strategies depending on your contact type. The people you know, it's in-person direct mail and voice communication. You can email them and all that stuff. But the people you don't know, it's, if you can get direct mail, that's great, but you also want to have a social media strategy as well, because this is the way business is done these days. But in my opinion, people spend way too much money on social media. Let me just address this because we're talking about this, but this is going to save you realtors a lot of money. I don't want to go too much in this, but do you need a website as a professional realtor, as I asked earlier?
Yes.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. Realtors, I know they do very well without a website.
No, but you just made a very good point. You said anybody who gets your name is going to go on the web,
right,
and check
right.
it out.
Yeah.
But here's
But
the
if you don't
Right.
have a
No, but
website, they're gonna check you out through the social media.
right. Well, some people
Some
use their Facebook page and everything. But here's the thing. Let me address this, and especially I'm addressing this to the new realtors, because if I had $1 for every newly licensed realtor that said to me, website, 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 they think, and they go out and they spend all this money on a website, and they're very disappointed because they don't realize there's nothing. So here's the thing. You do, I would say it's very important you have a website. Okay?
But what I meant is,
You understand they check you.
No, there are a lot of websites that are free now, right?
Right.
So almost free. So if you have Facebook, this, that, 3-4 different avenues, then people say, hey, this guy is really on the ball.
Well, here's the thing. Let me address that. There are 4 criteria. I don't want to go into too much on this. We'll be very quickly, but there are 4 criteria that actually make a website successful. Number 1 is, how do you get people to go there? Number 2 is, if I go to your website, if it's just fluff, what I call ego-based fluff, people go there once and never go there again. If it's useful knowledge and expertise, then people, you want to give them useful so that you motivate them to leave your contact information.
Yeah.
Now, if I leave your contact information, my contact information on your website, so here's what people do. I leave my name on your website, on your website, on your website. Who gets the business? Who gets the business? The one who what? The one who, and how long do you have to call? The one who calls first.
5 minutes.
Thank you. We're living in an ADHD world. I was corrected by a former school teacher. I used to be ADD, but now I say ADHD. But the bottom line is, you have minutes. So here's the thing, it's the one who escalates it from an e-lead to a voice communication to you're in front of me face to face. There's a great saying, I talked about this in my book, that all roads should lead from the digital world to the in-person world because you make your money by being in front of people, listening presentations, CMAs, negotiating deals. Does that make sense? If you think you can hide behind your computer and be successful in this business, you're wrong. Yes.
Question is, like, you can spend a fortune on lead generation
Do
for
not.
digital. And the conversion, they say that
The leads are so low quality typically.
like 2%.
Yeah.
So why, so you get 100 leads, 100 hits, let's say, and if you're really lucky, maybe 2.
Let me share with you a very quick story. There was a client of mine. He is a client of mine. He's a former MIT graduate. Okay, he's like a doctorate in computer science, brilliant. And he basically created this algorithm to convert leads from MLS. He's not in Toronto area, and he would hire newly licensed realtors. He'd give them a percentage of the leads. He would go through a newly licensed realtor every single week because the leads were so low quality and it was so excruciating. You know, so I mean, in terms of the quality of the leads, you could spend a fortune on that stuff. So be very, very careful. But if you're going to do that and pay per click, I mean, I can go to a whole seminar on that. But you're absolutely right. Yes. Good.
I have a website for 5 years. Nobody called me
Right.
from my website.
Right.
But the only thing I use my website when I give my card to people.
Yes.
I said, go on my website and check the properties you like. Then call me. I show you those properties.
Right. So, but you're using it as a
Otherwise-
tool to
Yeah,
enhance.
tool. Otherwise, I have to pay so much
Yeah.
to Google, so my name comes first.
I'm going to address this, and just bear with me, I'm building to a crescendo, but I want to address that. But my point is this.
I'm in the same boat. I've spent significant amount of money on my website. Love the website, and I've done Google AdWords searches
Yes.
as well. Paid to Google AdWords,
Yes.
and so it seems like there's a trigger in the initial stage when you do the advertising, and then it just flattens out. But yet the cost escalates.
Yeah,
I've
so
decided I'm not spending
You were
any
here
money on that.
earlier, and one of the points I made is you should be spending less for client acquisition over time, not more.
Yeah.
And so, yes.
Don't we have almost the same kind of website through Royal LePage?
Let me address what.
Can we
No,
just
that's
use
first.
that?
No.
Can I just bring this, I want to bring this to refocus, I'm going to get to this, the nuances about a web. My point about the website is this, especially as a newly licensed realtor, avoid spending a lot of money, but the point is you want to connect your website to your strategy, because a lot of people, they buy a website and it sits there collecting internet dust. They haven't done the 4 things, which is useful content on their website, lead capture. Once they get a lead, they have to have the ability to convert the lead as quickly as possible from a digital lead to an in-person contact to you're in front of me showing me properties. Yes, it's also important in when you're also interfacing people to use it as a tool, but do not spend a lot of money. We can have a whole session on
I've got
website.
a different
Yes,
question.
yes.
In my particular case,
Yeah.
I'm a little laid back. So I don't get back to people like within 5-10 minutes, or even a day before I get back to them. So for me, a lot of this stuff won't work. What will work better for me with what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, so I'm going to address the strategy in a moment of realtors who consistently do well. And this will bring all these pieces together for you, put a nice bow on it, and I'm going to share with you how to do it. So bear with me. But I agree with you. Would you agree that with respect to B-list conversion, you want strategies to move the process to convert them from a B-list person into a client? And then once you have a sale, you need strategies to leverage the relationship for referral and repeat business, referral business, initially and repeat business. So it's all about managing this process with the appropriate communication tools along the way. Are we in agreement with that? Let's go and model what realtors, I wrote a whole book, and I'm not trying to sell you the book, I just want to share with you. But in this book, I told the story of how people went from transactional, often at great cost, because they spend most money, spend a lot of here, till they got to what I'm about to tell you now. I traveled for 15 years, did all Richard Robbins marketing for 7 years, traveled coast to coast in Canada and throughout the US. And I will share with you their strategy. And as I alluded to earlier, It's amazingly simple. People overcomplicate this business. As they said, all the great truths in life are simple. Let's look at what they're doing. I'm going to start from the general to the specific. In terms of the general, these are the criteria or the characteristics of realtors who do well consistently, and they have the business model that looks like this. An upward trajectory of business based on warm selling and a systems-based business. Let me share with you the characteristics. The first characteristic, and it's going to dawn on you, first characteristic is in fact systems. If you are trying to do everything yourself as a professional realtor, you are losing money. Here's what I mean by that. Would you agree, like for example, you were telling me that you're doing still stuffing envelopes after 5 years. Would you agree with me that stuffing envelopes is not a high income producing activity?
No,
it doesn't make any economic sense. I'm giving you a compliment.
Well, unless you happen to send it to someone.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, what I'm saying is, if you realize the value of your expertise on an hourly basis, it doesn't make sense for you. So you need to, and let me ask you this, if you're busy and you have 3 listings and you're not organized, how are you going to handle 6 listings or 7 listings? I've seen people explode. Let me tell you a quick story. I want to tell you a story. You're familiar with Fort McMurray, Alberta, where the oil boom is? This is not today, but I've been doing this for a long time. So I gave this seminar many years ago, over a decade ago, probably about 12 years ago. I went to Fort McMurray. It was the first time. And I'm delivering this seminar. It's based on, I didn't even have this book, but it was based on this book. And this woman at the back, her head was on the desk. Her head was on, I thought she wasn't well. You know, people are talking. So at the end, I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yes, no, I'm fine. I'm absolutely exhausted." I said to her, "Wow," I said, "You must be been in real estate a long time." No, I'm just completing my first year. I said, "Is this thing's really tough for you? You don't have any listings?" She said, No, you don't understand. I had 50 deals this year. 50, first year in business. Now, $10,000 an end. She made $500,000 in commissions. It's a boom town, right? But here's the problem. She said, "I'm going through a divorce." She said, "My kids," she said, "My health has suffered. I've gained all this weight. I've eaten my health." I said, she said, "Why?" Because she had no systems. She tried to do everything herself. She was working. See, in this business, you can work 7 days a week. You can work 12 hours. It could be all consuming if you don't get organized. The earlier, by the way, you get organized, the more successful you'll be. But people make this thing, well, when I'm busy, then I'll get organized. When you're busy, you won't have time to get organized. It's like inner refueling. So you need to be freed up to do more CMAs, more listing presentations, more negotiating deals, and you need to have systems early on. Does that make sense? Because if you try and do this later, there's nothing sadder when I speak to realtors who've been in business 30 years who has got to reinvent themselves because they've lost touch with all their clients and they didn't get any residual business because they were the transactional ones. The second characteristic, does that make sense? The second characteristic of realtors who do very well is they have one central reservoir for the most important resource. What is your most important resource? I love asking this question as a professional realtor. Again, I'm sorry. This gentleman, what did you say? I'm sorry?
I didn't get the question.
What is my apologies. What is your most important resource as a professional?
Internet.
Your database. Well, the internet, let me address it. You're important. All of you are important. Sometimes the guys say their car. Usually it's the guys. And then some people say their phone. And some people say their spouse. The one person said their spouse was in the audience. I don't know if they said their spouse wasn't in the audience, but anyway. But the bottom line is your database. Without a database, a well-defined database, you have a sometimes business. You don't have a business that looks like this. You have a business that looks like the transactional realtor. But let's look at how realtors treat a database.
What was the question again?
What's the most important resource as a professional realtor? I know you're important and time is important and all of these things, but without a well-qualified database, you have a sometimes business. Now, some realtors, as I mentioned, don't have a database. Some have 5 databases. Let's look at what top realtors do to take in a database. First of all, You want to use something that's designed for your profession. Would you go to a doctor, lawyer, or dentist who's using an Outlook or an Excel file for that? I mean, look at all the nuances in real estate. You have all the steps in the real estate buying and selling process, mortgage renewal dates and children's names and all the things. So if you look at what realtors do this well, is they have one database that they actually use. And then when they're going through a transaction, would you agree you get to know people really well? Is that fair to say? When you go through a deal? Usually. So is it possible to gather birthdays, anniversaries, children's names, the dog's name, whatever, all of these things? Is that possible? Would you ever call somebody 5 years after you did a deal and say, "Hi, I'm just updating my database. I want to confirm your children's names, please"? Would you ever?
No, that's embarrassing.
That would. Would you do that? I wouldn't do that. So what you've got, here's my point. If you model what agents do this well, is they have one central reservoir to manage their book of business professionally. And in that one database, they profile their contacts, birthdays, anniversaries, mortgage renewal dates, all those things, which they subsequently use to leverage those that information. You cannot do this in your head. I don't care how good your memory is. You can't remember birthdays, anniversaries, mortgage renewal dates, children's names. You can't do it, especially as your business evolves. Make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. The third characteristic of realtors who do very well consistently is they're proactive. They understand what's called buyer behavior. Let me explain what I mean by that. Would you agree? Imagine I was your A-list person in your database, and I'm buying and selling for the spring or the fall. Let me ask you this. This is really important. How many months in advance am I thinking about what I'm doing before I act on my decision?
6 to
At
7
least, yes. So remember, I'm buying or selling every 4 to 7 years. Some people later, some people more frequent. There are what are called the thought process months where I'm thinking about what I'm doing, then I act on it by calling my mortgage person and my realtor. So you want to be, there's a great saying, in winter think summer and summer think winter. You want to be ahead of the curve. So here's a common marketing mistake realtors make, is they go like this. I'm really busy, it's the spring market or it's the fall market. When things slow down, I'll ramp up for the fall or the spring. Here's the problem with that. Would you let your car run out of gas before you refueled it? I've done it once in my life. It's not a good experience. Busy highway. It happened at a busy highway in Vancouver. National car rental saved me. But anyways, the bottom line is, a lot of people, they go like this. So if you model what realtors do well, they're in what are called, they get in touch with their database in advance of every market season. So they're what are called the thought process months. So they're constantly seeding the future for the people that are going to buy and sell next, and they avoid the peaks and valleys. Does that make sense? A lot of times people say to me, you know what, I'm going away for a month. I go there, a lot of people, they go away, they travel. When they get back, then I'll ramp up. You wouldn't it's the worst thing to do. The best time to do marketing is when?
When they don't need you.
No, the best time to do marketing is when you're busy. A lot of people go shopping when they're hungry. So you want to basically, when you're busy and you don't have time to do it, with your strategy, your systems, you're seeding the future. It's really important. Let's go to the next characteristic. I've alluded to this, but it's diversification. Let me break it out so that you can model what top realtors do. First of all, they separate their B's from their A's. And for their B list, you need to, they use social media. Recognize people are Googling your name on your website, Facebook page, or blog. They don't spend a lot, but they recognize people checking it out. They do their due diligence. They have an email conversion strategy, and hopefully it's CASL compliant. For their A list, whether it's their sphere of influence, whether it's their past clients, basically what they do is they use direct mail, not just any direct mail. I'm going to show you a sample in a moment. It needs to be related to your expertise. If you're sending people cooking recipes, but direct mail, you want to be ahead of the curve. You want to be in front of people, again, buying and selling next, but with useful information. I'm a big proponent of what's called client-centered marketing. I'll show you what I mean. So usually they do this monthly, but you want to do this in the course of the market seasons. Calls, if you model the agents that do well, they have 4 calls a year on average, once a quarter. I'm going to share with you what to say in one of those calls that will make you money. Just bear with me in a moment. And then they have, all you're going to have for time is 1 in-person contact. I know Brian Buffini says you should pop by and all that stuff. I'm a big proponent of have a client event. If you have clients with young children that you can do, a movie morning. If you, I just helped one of my clients design a chocolate tasting and making seminar. You think that wasn't well attended? Depends on who the demographic. You can have new agents. You can have a buyer seminar. What's happening in the market information seminar. By the way, if you factor the value of your time, if you have to, I'll give you another story that I think will really. 30 years ago, I have a client in Penticton, BC. 30 years ago, when he started real estate, he decided he wanted to deliver poinsettias to his clients every Christmas. Great idea. He meets them, shakes their hands, gives them a poinsettia. Nice thing to do. Flash forward 30 years later, he hired his son with a pickup truck in late September, early October to deliver these to his clients because he just has so many clients now. His son quit on him because he insisted he meet them personally. And he'd have to go back multiple times. He spent a fortune in gasoline. And he had one event where people dropped in and picked up their poinsettia, he would save thousands of dollars. It does so you can expedite your in-person contact is very important, but there's so many strategies to do this. The final character, so you want to separate your A's and B's. The final characteristic is the most important one of realtors who consistently do well. What are the reasons why you would choose me as a realtor versus, or people choose you as a realtor versus the other 40,000 realtors in the Greater Toronto area? People work with,
People
they don't like and trust, but based on your knowledge and expertise. In the interest of reinforcing your knowledge and expertise, let me share with you one strategy that will make you a lot of money. I've recommended this. This is such a great idea. You can use this not only with clients, but also in B-list conversion as well. It's called Conduct for People, what's called a proactive CMA. You're going to take note of this one. This will make you money. A proactive CMA. What is a proactive CMA? Well, let's look at CMAs generally. It says proactive CMA. I realize my writing is not good, and I apologize. So how are CMAs normally initiated?
If they're thinking of selling.
Yes, so that's reactive. So say I'm in your down, I would call you, and that's a lot of work. That's not what I'm talking about. Yes.
I would imagine a proactive CMA would be, let's say you're doing door knocking and you're going to a neighborhood, and you have these CMAs prepared, and so when you're knocking on doors and you're speaking to the homeowners, you have a good idea of what the property is worth.
Yes, so there's 2 applications. Just hold that thought, but that's an excellent point. You can use it in that context. I'm talking about with your A list. You could also use it with your B list conversion, and that would be that. I'll show you how to do this. So here, let me talk generally how to do this, and then I'll get to how you would apply this on a practical level. Would you agree that most people are curious about the value of their home?
Yes.
If you were to look at the world through the eyes of one of the people in your database, and look at how they experience things, they're barraged with the generalized Toronto area statistics from geographic farmers. They get these regurgitated statistics from the real estate board. Every major radio, TV, newspaper gives statistics that they on the internet. If you were going to ask them, do you want, this is your A-list people or even B-list people as well, do you want the regurgitated statistics from the Toronto Real Estate Board? They would say no. They want to know what the value, where does their house fit in the picture? Like, I'll give you an example. I know I do this. When I drive down the street, and when your people in your database drive down the street, they see a house for sale or house listed, they're making a conscious or unconscious mental comparison between their house and the value, the house that's for sale or listed, the value of their own house. So they're curious. So they don't want they want to know what the marketplace is impacting them specifically. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
The only way to do that is a CMA, but that's a lot of work. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a semi-annual or an annual house value checkup. So here's what you do. This will take you less than 2 minutes. I can't emphasize how powerful and important this is. So what you do, here you have your database. What you do is for every one of your A-list people, and you can use it for door knocking as well, and I'll talk about it, but let's look at that separately. But the bottom line, every one of your A-list people, what you do is you provide them with what are called bellwether statistics. What percentage of list price or houses for sale on their individual street and area? These are very easily obtainable. Another bellwether statistic would be how long are houses on the market for in their individual street and area? You can use others, but these are particularly easy. This will take you 2 minutes. So what you do is you do a little report, not a full CMA, but a little report, and then this is one of your 4 phone calls. By the way, do not call someone in your sphere of influence or database and say, hi, I'm doing a proactive CMA. They'll probably hang up. They'll basically, what you would do is, they go, what the hell? So basically, what you do is you say, I'll bet you're curious about what's happening to the value of your home. And everyone will say yes. You share with them the nuanced statistics in their area. Let me share with you a little secret. I've had people do this, clients do this, and others who have picked up listings. Because here's what happens. Very often the conversation goes like this. Well, given the way the market is and interest rates are going, we were wanting to do this like 6 months from now, but now that leads to a full-blown CMA, a subsequent listing presentation. Before you know it, you have $20,000 worth of business, which you didn't have before. But what you're doing is even more important than that. You are providing people information that relates to the why they would use you. People work with whom they know and like, based on your knowledge and expertise. Here's the other side of not doing a proactive CMA. Imagine you were my realtor 5 years ago. You did a great job for me buying and selling the house. It's now 5 years later. Okay. Every year I get your Christmas card. You have to go. You're cold. You're cold. Oh, you're cold. I guess it is pretty cold here. So here's the thing. Bottom line is every year you send me a Christmas card. It's 5 years later. I now need your services again. So I'm having dinner with my wife, and she says to me, Phil, she says, we're going to be listing our house in a few months. I know we used you, or you say it was you, 5 years ago, and you did a great job. But she says to me, you know, I noticed there's this guy or woman in this neighborhood. I see their for sale sign everywhere and their listing sign everywhere, and I get their postcard offering a free home evaluation. So what does she do? Innocently enough, she calls this person, brings them in, and to see what the value of her home is. They're very charming. Before you know it, you've lost $20,000 because you didn't take 2 minutes to provide people information that they were in, you know what I'm saying? That they were already interested in. By the way, a little nuance. Do this at tax assessment time. That's a great time to do this. It's tax assessment time because people have a heightened curiosity with respect to the value of your home. So here's that'll take 2 minutes, but what you're doing is you're reinforcing your expertise. So if you look at the strategy employed by realtors that do very, very well, what they do is they grow, what they do is they have a systems-based business. They qualify their A-list for the conversion strategy, but once they get an A-list person, they grow their database from 20 to 40 to 60 to 80 to a critical mass point of 100 or so people in their database. And every year, they get referrals, and another percentage of their database buy and sell again because people buy and sell every 4 to 7 years. And like a snowball or an annuity, it grows over time to the point where their cost per client acquisition goes way down. More and more business comes to them from the business they've done and the relationships they've created. They're spending less money, if not more. And I will respectfully submit to you that having a business that looks like that is so much more enjoyable than trying to compete with every other realtor in Toronto based on price, when it's all about price and you know it's all basic commodity based, and you're spending a fortune on pay-per-click ads and all of those things. It's really it's not all that enjoyable. So the bottom line is, it's very important that early on, or as soon as you can, you incorporate systems, no matter what level you're currently at. There's nothing. People are looking for the magic bullet in this business. The magic bullet is doing the fundamentals well each and every day, and that involves incorporating these business principles. No, we've talked about the why. We've talked about the what. Let me share with you how to do it. And for the last 26 years, we've been helping realtors go from transactional to systems-based, including the top realtors in not only Canada but North America. Many of the names you recognize who I work with, and for that I have a little handout. There you go. And we also have You have two? You can? Can. Thank you. If you turn to page 2 and 3, they're not actually numbered. We'll imagine that they're numbered. I feel bad it's so cold. Have some coffee. Oh, there you go, sir. Turn to page 2 and 3. Now, when it comes to putting a system in place or a marketing strategy in place,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. There are two things I see, two kind of scenarios. Number one, this is the least common. A realtor will try and do everything themselves. They think they're going to save money and be a one-person show. So what they do is they try and do direct mail themselves and email marketing themselves and social media marketing themselves and their website themselves and their database themselves, and it's physically impossible. There's not enough, especially when they get busy. The second scenario is a realtor, what they'll do is they'll have 4 or 5 different companies try to do various aspects of the marketing strategy. So we'll end up in a scenario where they have one for email marketing, another company for social media content or marketing, another company for their website, another company for their database, another company for their direct mail, and none of the pieces fit together. So what we've created is full systems integration. It took us 26 years to do this, and we're Canadian. So if you turn to page 2 and 3, what brings a strategy to life is not a database. I want to be clear. If you're organized in a database, referring to page 2 and 3, if you're organized in a database, it's kind of like getting all dressed up and having nowhere to go. Because where you make your money by converting leads into clients and subsequently leveraging client relationships for referral and repeat. So it's all about the communication tools. So in terms of helping you do that, there are 2 things we do. Number 1, for lead conversion, whether you're door knocking, if you turn to the back, whether you're door knocking, whether you're getting website leads or whatever you're doing, you want to be in touch with people to convert them to clients. So what we provide you, if you turn to page 2 and 3, there are all kinds of tools to do that. Number 1, we give you a real estate specific software program called Exact Contact. Exact is Canadian. Because it's Canadian, it's about as easy to use as Outlook. Yes, page 2 and 3. So in Exact Contact, you can do everything for your business. You can categorize your A list, your B list, everything in one place. We give you an email castle compliant communication strategy. We give you a communication piece you can use for door knocking called the homeowner update, or you can use this for open houses. We also provide you a website, and we also give you a social media library, which are pre-formatted drag and click articles for your website, blog, Facebook page, and Twitter. I will give everyone a free month of all of this. You can use it. You'll know within an hour if you like it. We also, for your A-list contacts, which is the lifeblood of your business, we give you a beautiful marketing piece called the Preferred Client Update. If you turn to the back, it looks like this. It's blue. Looks like this. I mentioned to you earlier that Google Corporation now uses direct mail.
Is it the one in the envelope?
Yes, it's in the one in the envelope. Why does Google Corporation, who invented Gmail, the preeminent way of communicating via email, now uses, yes, well, there you go. Why do they use direct mail? Because people have gone through threshold on email. They don't read it. We have the Canadian anti-spam legislation. They try to open email on the smartphone. So for your A-list contacts, what we do is we provide you a beautiful, customizable marketing piece called the Preferred Client Update. You can customize it. It's all Canadian. So if you were doing Buffini, our researcher writers are Canadian. The articles, we haven't duplicated an issue in 26 years. We only stick to real estate specific themes. There's a condo version and a residential house version. For Toronto, that's huge. So if you have, there's no minimum number, there's no frequency. If you have 25 people who live in condos, you can select condo content. 25 live in homes, you can select home content. The front, this is called client-centered marketing. So not only can you address all your clients by the appropriate name and or salutation, you can customize this by doing all kinds of things like promote your clients' businesses or services. You could have a 2-for-1 dinner entree special for a a local restaurant. You can do things like referral appreciation programs, client appreciation events, or we'll write it all for you. 95% of our clients say, I don't want to do a damn thing. You should not be stuffing your own envelopes. So we mail it for you. We print it, do it. And the way we do it, unlike Buffini and other programs, there's absolutely no minimum order quantity. So Buffini makes you send out 100. I have clients with 7 names on their mailing list. 7. They're obviously newer, right? If you only have one person on your list, then I would buy them dinner over and over and over again instead of leaving you alone. I'll send you a referral. But the bottom line is there's no minimum, there's not a frequency. We also subsidize your postage at 69 cents. For you to buy a stamp in Toronto, anywhere in Toronto is over $1. I don't know if you realize that. But you want to market to people where they live and use your services. This is what's called the pay-as-you-go program. The other part of the program, the email, the social media, the contact management, the website, are all connected together. All 4 of those are $34.95 a month, no contract. Nobody provides you email, social media marketing, contact management, and website for $34.95 a month. And I'll just give you a free month, no charge. Well, who are the new realtors that are licensed less than a year? You get 6 months free, no charge. I can't do better than free on like charity.
34.
Oh, we waive the 30. Everyone, I'm going to waive the 34 now to use it in real time. The most you'll make more money from this direct mail piece than anything else I do, and that's a pay-as-you-go program. So the normal cost is $1.29 a piece mail. By the way, you were paying way more with the beginning program. Of the $1.29, 69 cents is postage. The other 60 cents to make up $1.29 is the photographic quality printing, folding, inserting in an envelope, and sealing on your behalf. There's no minimum. So to calculate your costs on a mailing month only, you take $1.29, includes the postage, the folding it, the printing, and putting it in an envelope, times the number you're sending. So say it's 20 people, $1.29 times 20 or 50 or whatever it is. We realtors, right? There's no minimum. And on a mailing month, there's a $14.95 matching fee, irrespective, and we also courier you a copy and add you to your mailing list. There's zero, let me finish, there's zero frequency. So if you don't mail out, you pay nothing. So let's say you don't mail out for 3 months. There's no fees. It's a pay-as-you-go program. Normal, and so we also provide you, not only do we not have a minimum order or frequency, we have unlimited customization. We customize for you 2 publications, one for your A list, one for your B list. So you would use this for door knocking, open houses, meeting with clients. Just bear with me, I'll answer all questions in a minute. We do unlimited customization. What does that mean? You can put your listing, just sold, referral appreciation programs, or we'll write it all for you. There's no minimum, no frequencies. We do both for a fixed cap management fee of $249. It's an annual management fee. Everyone that's been in business over a year, I will defer that till May, and I'll give you a free month printing up to 100 people on this. So basically, you can start my program for postage, shipping and handling, and you get direct mail, email, social media, contact management, and a website for the cost of postage. Who are the new realtors again? You get 6, everyone's a new realtor after I tell them this. You new realtors get 6 months free printing, up to 50 people. All you pay is postage, which is subsidized at 69 cents, and shipping and handling, and that is below cost. I take your management fee and I defer it for till your 7th month on the program. All you'll pay for direct mail, email, social media, contact management, and a website is postage and shipping and handling. Nobody in North America does that. Why are we so nice to new realtors? Here's the short answer. New realtors don't have any money, and they have all these expenses. And we believe in giving initiates the receipt. So basically, we have had great success by helping new realtors get established because they're doing the right things early on.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is this your first presentation here?
Yes.
Because I just wish I'd met you in September, October of last year.
Well, that's good that you wish me a minute.
No, because I spend tons of money on stuff.
Here's the thing. Can I just share with you who I am? That's why this is very important. My whole business model is about me providing value first. My business comes from referrals. So if I sell you a program, this is so important, and you don't get any business from what I do, how long will you be my client for? Not very long. There's no contract. This is not marketing jail. So here's what I do. I create value first, and my business comes from work. So my goal with each one of my clients is to help them be very successful in what they do, so that not only they're my client for a long time, but they send me referrals. And by the way, I love to teach. I don't know if you got that. I'm really passionate. I've written a couple books. I love this. This is the favorite part of my job. But my business, most of my business actually comes from my existing clients. Referral business with teachers. Yes.
So the package you sell is not including the letters.
The letters is a pay-as-you-go program.
So you go by whatever letters.
Yeah, so you're in control.
It's separate.
No, it's all included in one. So here's how this all fits together. Rather than you having one company for direct mail, another company for email, another company for social media, another company for your website, we're providing you all of this together. So, and we also give you a beautiful app on your cell phone at no charge, whether you're an Apple person. So now on your cell phone, you can, when you meet a client, you can go into the database, profile them, add them to your e-publication. If you've got your direct mail list, you can add them to your direct mail. Once they become a client, you can profile their birthdays, anniversaries, mortgage unit. Once they become a client, you click them off the email and the homeowner update. Now you can send them the preferred client update because they're not going to buy and sell right away, but they're a good referral. You will get on your cell phone, you will get birthday reminders, anniversary reminders, all sent to you. And so all the steps in the real estate buying and selling process are in the program. You have 125 letters that are written by Canadians for expired listings, for FSBOs, for renters. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. With reminders, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna, so each step of the way. Again, what brings this to life is all the communication tools. Our program, because we're Canadian, is Castle compliant. And by the way, Exact Contact is about as easy to use as Outlook. When we're the fastest growing software program for realtors in the world, and we're Canadian. Why? Because when we created and we modeled the realtor personality, which most realtors have, they're good with technology, but they don't have the patience. Yeah. They don't want to sit in front of a bloody software program. You make your money by being out there. So we created this so easy so that you can help by doing more of the relational tools.
So my question is,
yeah.
If you provide everything,
yep.
We ask you to send a birthday, or you send us like a template, and yes. Then we forward it to clients.
Yes, you can do birthdays, anniversaries, mortgage renewal days. But the main thing for your clients is this. I have clients, just so you know, if you read the testimonials, that 100-person database, they get in excess of 15 ends a year based on a 100-person database. Much more than that.
So for each client,
yes.
Like one lives in Markham, one lives in...
This is non-geographic specific.
So would you do it for that area if I ask you?
Well, that's farming.
For that person, what I wanted in their area, I wanted.
Well, you're confusing two things. So there's marketing for your clients, which are non-geographic, the existing relationship, and then there's geographic farming. Okay. So you can take this piece and use it as a farming piece and customize the front. But basically, we'll talk about how I do have clients.
Information anywhere on a website, because it's a lot of information.
So here's the thing.
Can we find this anywhere?
Yeah, here's the thing. So if you're interested in what I do, this is how I do business. This is not about me, it's about you. I will be here for a little while and answer any questions, but general questions. But here's the bottom line. Share with me your card. I will find out about there's a whole strategy for new realtors that's different from everyone else. There's the Rookie Realtor Program insert in there if you're brand new. For everyone else, I'm going to give you a free month printing up to 100 people. I'm going to give you a completely free email, social media, content, website, no contract. This is not marketing jail.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, just give me, I'm going to get to this. Yeah, I know, but I'm going to get to, let me just conclude and then I'll address the question. And can you give me 1 minute? 1 minute? Okay, because otherwise I'm going to get bogged down in the question and I'm going to, so I just want to conclude. But share with me your card and then I will speak to you one-on-one. I'll call you either later this week or early next week. And right now we're working on the May marketing. All you would do is you fill out a one-page form, send me your mailing list, you can handwrite it, and then you send me any branding and or photography, either way. Your question, sir. Yes. Yes, I apologize.
I just wanted to know how practical we can use your services. Is there any website, control panel that we can go and
Yes,
select? Okay.
yes.
Because let's say I do have a website, I have a CRM, I'm happy with that. I just want to use the mailing.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So thank you for bringing that up. The question was, just very quickly, can you use the direct mail as a standalone? Yes. As a matter of fact, here's the honest answer. You'll get more damn business from this piece than anything else I do. You can, and so the bottom line is, you ask where people make the money, one program, it's on the direct mail because it's the most targeted piece to your past clients and your sphere of influence. So you can do this as a standalone, and I give you a free database, no charge, to manage your mailing list. You can add the
Can we connect our CRM?
Yes, you can connect. I work with people at every scenario, so yes, absolutely.
What's the best way to reach you?
Share with me your card. I will call you. I'll give you my card, and then I'll call you in the next couple of days, and we'll chat. You can grill me with all the questions, but yes, yes.
I actually use Exact Content.
Yes.
So I have all their programs, their newsletters, I've been using it, and I love
Now,
it.
this is, we're the same, we're in the same building. I created Exact. We own Exact. So are you a new realtor?
Yeah.
Okay, you'll get the Morse marketing rookie rate.
Can we
You're gonna
use
transfer, you get 6 months with me.
I'm already been on it.
Or can you
So I'll transfer.
for 6 months?
Yes, you'll get 6 months with me. Sorry.
Did you say yes
It's a no-brainer.
to my proposal?
Yes, sorry.
Did you say yes to my proposal?
What's
I
that?
said, can we get the same deal as new building because we came to your class to get 6 months?
No, you need to send in your license, but you need to send in your, you have to be licensed less than a year. I do that as a way of helping new realtors get established, because they don't have any money, they have all these expenses. But I will, here's the most
We
important.
might be worse than you.
Yeah.
The situation might.
Okay. Share with, yes.
Have you done presentations like this at Connect and you're now doing it here?
I did Connect Friday, so there was another gentleman, I just took over Ontario. I was, last 15 years, I've been traveling across North America. I opened up Western Canada for Morris, and this is my very first time that I'm speaking in Toronto.
Okay.
Right, so,
No, I just,
I was in Ajax, I'm fine.
have a lot of I'm remorseful about a lot of things that I've done.
I like it.
Okay, well, let me, how long have you been in real estate?
I think mid-September.
Okay, so I will help you. You're brand new?
Yeah.
Okay, so the rookie realtor program. So share with me your card. And by the way, I speak to realtors who spend a ton of money doing business 20 years and you have no idea they're doing the wrong thing. So you're new. You shouldn't made that many mistakes. Thank you, sir.